Morning, folks. Everything new under the sun. Well, I was out this morning, so I couldn't get the videos out first thing. Getting some work on my car done. But there are lots of news events happening. And some of these are, well, this particular article is from today. But there's significant stuff happening with volcanoes around the Ring of Fire, all around the world. And these are signs of the earth groaning. And the earth is coming alive. All these things are getting ready for the apocalyptic events as spoken of in the Bible. I think the earth is waking up in a sort of a way. And God is going to use his creation to judge it. He destroyed the earth with water the first time, with the flood, the great flood of Noah, about 4,500 years ago. He's going to destroy it again with fire. And I think part of how he does that is not just from raining hellfire and brimstone, but by volcanoes and the cracking of the crust and lava coming up, molten lava coming from the depths of the earth. And so Guatemala volcano just erupted. Guatemala volcano kills 25 with lava ash smoking mud flows. I mean, if that doesn't sound apocalyptic, I don't know what does. And I'm not being sensational. These are the articles. This is the stuff that is happening as I read it. Basically, this is occurring. You can see the cloud, the dust, the ash flow coming down, and that could be part of the the chiroplastic cloud, the superheated gas cloud. That could be part of that as well. There's been a lot of deaths in Guatemala related to this. Rescuers used heavy machinery and shovels Monday to search for survivors or victims of an eruption at Guatemala's volcano of fire. And residents were caught unaware by fast-moving pyroclastic, there it is, pyroclastic flows that killed at least 25 people. That's the superheated gas that moves very quickly. You can't run and escape from it. You got to be out of the area before that comes. Otherwise, you're pretty much toast. And you would probably smell like toast as well, if that got you. The charred landscape left behind was still too hot to touch or even pull bodies from, in many parts melting the shoes of rescuers. Incredible stuff. This one about Kilauea volcano in Hawaii. This is still, it's been erupting, I hear, for 4 weeks now. This is, apocalyptic for the residents of Hawaii. There's people now stranded. 5.5 earthquake strikes Kilauea summit. They're suggesting that there could be a massive explosion still to come. This isn't simmering down. This is increasing in danger. And there's been large-scale evacuations to the point where the mayors of the, at least one of the cities there said, get out now or you're going to be arrested. And they're even saying they're not even going to go in and rescue people anymore if they aren't out by a certain date and time because of the impending danger here. A magnitude 5.5 earthquake shook Kilauea summit Sunday, resulting in an ash plume up to 8,000 feet, according to Hawaii County Civil Defense. I'm going to take a look at a story about a tsunami that they're predicting that could be potentially caused by a massive Kilauea explosion. So a massive biblical proportion tsunami coming from that. There were 500 quakes in the summit area of Kilauea in a 24-hour period over the weekend. This is from KESQ.com, I guess a local news channel. There's an image of some of the happenings there. Pretty significant. And I think BP Earthwatch is covering this pretty well too. The big one could leave, and this is for the United States, the big one could leave 250,000 to 400,000 quake refugees in California. Where will they go? When you start talking about the Ring of Fire and all these volcanoes going off, you got to suspect that action, that activity is going to move around and circle the Ring of Fire and light up volcanoes elsewhere and light up some of these fault zones as well. By continuing to use, this particular is a simulation. I don't know if this will play or not. But this is supposedly a simulation of an earthquake striking California. Magnitude 8 earthquake. We'll see if it's going to play or not here. Let me go over to the main page here. When a catastrophic earthquake hits California buildings, oh, there it goes. Let's see if we can watch it. Magnitude 8 earthquake. There you go. Spreading across California. pushing part of California, maybe even into the sea, creating tsunamis, etc. When a catastrophic earthquake hits California, buildings will topple and potentially hundreds could be killed. But what gets less attention is the wrenching aftermath of such a huge temblor, which could leave whole neighborhoods torched by fires, uninhabitable, and hundreds of thousands of people without a home. And I'll put the links in the description so you can check them out. Officials are grappling with where all the quake refugees would go. And again, you look at the action happening around the Ring of Fire, and you got to think, this is something that could trigger the big one in California, or even in Vancouver, Canada. They're expecting the big one as well. All up and down the West Coast, they're expecting the big one. Well, in related news, this is the commonsenseshow.com. A tsunami of biblical proportions would be generated by a Kilauea explosion, which now appears likely. More than 3 weeks after Kilauea volcano first exploded, the situation is going from bad to worse as the Big Island is being besieged with new explosions, which are destroying more neighborhoods. Hundreds of residents have been evacuated from Lower Puna as advancing flows threaten homes and a key access point, which is the only access road in the area. So mandatory evacuations in Leilani Estates, which is a particular area. There's lava flows going right through that, toxic emissions, chemicals, new fissures opening up in the area. And the Common Sense Show, Dave, I guess, whatever his name is, Dave Hodges, I guess he's written this about the 4 volcanic horsemen of the apocalypse. What is happening at Kilauea can be divided into 4 separate parts that is being referred to as the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Number 1, blue flames. Number 3, exponentially rising ash clouds. 3 huge fountains of lava. The 4th horseman of the so-called apocalypse has arrived at Kilauea volcano. The most active volcano on the planet now has created its very own weather system. So here's the risk of tsunami that this particular article talks about. And you can read it. I'm not going to dwell on it, but it goes on. The worst case scenario for Hawaii is the risk of a tsunami in which local and multiple media accounts state there is no risk of eruption. No risk, not even stated odds. Further, in my examination of multiple articles, I see no reference to scientific studies or historical precedent to make such a sweeping claim. I do, however, see that tourism, although down by 50%, is continuing unabated, while several communities are being evacuated. Does this seem like a contradiction to you, he says. After my extensive reading about Kilauea, I've concluded that Chicken Little has never visited Hawaii, where it is admitted that a refrigerator-sized projectiles could be coming down on people. This is a real-life example of burying one's head in the sand. So if you're traveling to Kilauea, you got to be concerned about this. Please consider Kilauea's Helena slump, which is summarized in the following article. The Helena slump is a 5,000 cubic mile section of the Big Island of Hawaii on the south flank of the Kilauea volcano. Between 1990 and 93, global positioning measurements showed a southward displacement. And this is what they think could, if this blows off, this could cause a tsunami of biblical proportions. If the entire Helena slump were to slide into the ocean at once, it could cause an earthquake in excess of 9 in magnitude and a mega tsunami. Previous mega tsunamis in Hawaii 110,000 years ago, caused by similar geological phenomena, may have created waves 1,600 feet or 500 meters tall. Now, 100,000 years, I don't believe that. The Earth is only about 6,000 years old. And that's proven multiple ways, hundreds, thousands of different ways. Regardless, this is what the article has here. The following video illustrates the devastating tsunami that could be caused by a partial or full collapse. Let's see if this one actually runs here. Here's one view of how a tsunami could be generated with subsequent result and what the subsequent result would consist of. So there you see that's Helene falling into the ocean there, causing the mega tsunami. It goes on. Please allow me to leave with a very plausible scenario, one that would prove to you to be a guiding force behind disaster planning, but for political and economic reasons, this scenario is not even being discussed and not being reacted to by both state and federal authorities. So state and federal authorities, probably because they don't want to scare the people, are not talking about this. And there's the slide there and the effect it would have on the water. Hundreds of cubic kilometers of material might break off and the slopes spill out. In this image you see that leads to a video. I'll put the link in the description. It leads to, that's the ring of fire effectively. And you have the ring of fire being lit up right now as we speak. Volcanoes all around there. So this is a significant thing, biblically speaking. And I think this is going to very much play into the anti-biblical scenario. The judgment specifically. I think this is part of the earth groaning, part of the earth waking up. And this is going to start to cause some of the seals and the other punishments that are happening in the build-up to the return of the Lord and in the end-time Bible prophecies. You think about prophecies about the ocean becoming poison. That could occur from volcanic eruptions, that sort of thing. Tsunamis of biblical proportions, earthquakes, killing thousands and even millions of people. All these things, I think, could be addressed, or the answer to them could be, some of the volcanic eruptions around the earth. The earth is quite literally groaning and shaking. Significant things happening in these last days, guys. I hope you know Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior, because he's coming back soon. And these articles are incredible. These are coming out every day. I'm sure I'm not doing them justice, but just so you know that these are biblical times. You need to make sure you know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for supporting. And we'll see you guys in the next video.